Welcome to my 16th episode in my Christmas calendar series. And as most of the things I've shown you, it's actually recorded on the day that I'm going to publish it. I don't have the time to make more than one episode each day, and that's a real struggle to get to do anyway. And especially today, we did have some struggles, as I was experiencing some difficulties on the breadboard. And back in the day, I can't remember a single time I didn't get a digital circuit to work on the first try on the breadboard. But this is an experience in this series here. I haven't had a single thing that I coupled up the first time and everything works as it should. Maybe once or twice, you have to be the judge of that, where things actually have worked. And this time it was oxidation. It was, of course, me. I've always messing up some wires, it seems. I never did that back in the day. And it's also some surprises that we get that you will hear more about later. Yes, what we are going to do first here is the 74 LS90. And this has the same pinnet and functionality as the normal 90, but it's based on the LS. So it's a bit faster and it has about 1/10 of the power draw as the original series. Yeah, that's the power. And no, it's not. I have to fight myself every time I do TTL crutches of the old school kind where they have different power. And of course this one, as I noticed in my last video, is different, and it has the VCC here down here on this pin. This was not. Make a shortcut like so. That's the power, and you have the ground up on the opposite here. So then that's fixed. And we said that we was going to put the R0 and R9 inputs low, so we are going to do that. First I will connect them all together, like so, and like so, and we said that we was going to keep them low, so we are going to connect them up to ground. And we do have ground here, and I'm going to connect them down here, like so. So pin 3 and 4 and 6 and 7 is the R lines. 4 is not connected, and number 1 is the B input, and that is going to be connected to the QA output. So here we need one wire from pin 1 and up to the third pin on this side, like so. Then we have connected this together, so it will be a decade counter. We have one line here for the, what was this? I was going to connect this to this one, and you didn't even tell me. And this input up here, maybe not the best, I will do like so. This will be the input on the clock pulses. Of course, I can test with this switch first, and this is, as we can see on the data sheet, this is an edge triggered signal, and it's triggering on the low input. So if we keep this switch high, by a pull-up resistor, like so, and this is one of our normal 2.2Ks. And we are going to connect this to the 0 level when the button is pushed, like so. And then we have to connect the outputs, and here our new contraception will come in handy, I hope. I will, this is hopefully, it's some power leads in the way, but otherwise I do think it will be visible. And what we have here is that we have the least significant bit is this one, and that is the QA, and that is the one that is, I better put this like so. Just make it like so, and that's easier to place. First I can connect the power, and as usual I am just connecting this with power on. With the normal TTL chips it really doesn't matter. And I also added a very weak power LED here to see when this has power. And I'm going to connect the least significant bit. It was this one up here. This is a bit short. I will get some longer leads for this. And the QB output is pin 8 is this one. Oh, very difficult to get this in place. And QC is this one, and QB is Q0, QA. Oh, I did this wrong. We have the QA, and yeah, now I did it right. Sorry, my mistake. QB and QC. And QD is this one here. It was a bit difficult to get these in. Okay, like so. Now you can see that we do have some lights up here. And if I push here, you should get counting, and you do not. So we are up to our usual standard, where we don't have any good... Yeah, we don't have a working coupling, and we don't know why. But I will just take a quick peek here. The R lines is 2 and 3 and 6 and 7, and they are connected to ground, and that they have done via the ground supply for the chip. I have the 9 volt, and I can of course check with my multimeter if I do have power. There it was counting. Yeah, I do have 5 volt, but now we did get a count, and maybe some bad contact here. We do have this one. It's tied to high, and it should make good contact. And we have the switch here that is tied between these two, and oh, okay. So it is counting, but not when we want it to count. And why is that? Don't we get any low edges on this? If I put the meter here, I will just put this, yeah, I can put it over here, and I measure this point here. It should be high. It is high. And when I measure this one, it should be low. And if I take this here and push the switch, it's getting low. So that means I get the counting pulse, and I can even measure down here in this. It will get a low count. So we are going to try something different here, and that is because it was just either of the resets that had to be low, not both of them. It was an X situation. So if I do like so, we just have one of the R0 and R9s low. So now we have, yeah, and that should be right. Let's see if that helps our situation. No, it does not. I just have to measure the fixed. This is low. This is low, this is high, and it should go low. This is quite undefined. I wonder what's happening here. This is the QA output, and I have connected it up to our circuit here, and it's 2.1. It's not high or low. This is a very unusual output. Let's see if I disconnect this and see what I have here for the QB. It's really not what I expected. There is some undefined level here, situation here that's going on, and I'm not sure why. This was really strange. I'm just going to try to pull up this one here. I can just place it here. I pull up this here with a 2.2K resistor. And then this really should be tied high. It's 2.5. And I'm getting count here. It's when I have the QB input. If I'm going to do this another way and just use the QB, the B input, and this couple the QA, I will have to take this out, and I'm just going to connect this one here like so, and then I'm just going to count with the other bits. So this was really strange, but maybe there is something wrong with this ship. Could be not seated properly, perhaps. Now it's counting on the A input, but one of our digits is not showing on the counter. So we do have some fault here. What is not showing here is the most significant bit, the QD, and QD is this one. So this one is never getting high. This one is not lighting up here, so it's not getting high. Yeah, I think I will just have to replug the whole circuit. This is a very old chip. It's 30 years old, and it can be that it needs some deoxidation. So if I'm going to revamp this, I will just couple it up again. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but these are actually silver plated. You can see that there is some oxidation on the legs, but it really looks clean. But I have another one here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to couple it up on different part of the bread bin to see if that will help our case. And indeed it does seems to fit better there. I will take this over here, like so, to get this out of the way. And I will take this one. And I will need this one then to have the input clocked to this one. And I need the ground connected up here, like so. I need the output from A down to the input to B, that's a given. And I need at least one of these here stuck up to ground, like so. And I of course need the power, and the power is connected down here and should go up here, like so. And then I have these wires here, and this should be the least significant bit, the QA, and this should be the next one, QB, and this should be the next one, QC, and this will be this one, that is QD. So there everything is connected here. I do have power up on here. I have connected these, and I have connected the count. But does it look right? It starts with a 9. So this counting is not right at all. And if I connect the two other reset inputs, like low, every one of them, then it should just count. It should be no preset value at all. Maybe there's some prel on the switch, and now the QD is not lighting up at all. So maybe it's just some that we have some noise, some prel on the switch. So I'm going to set the function generator to 1 Hz, a square, 5 volt peak to peak, 2 volt offset, and I'm going to have the frequency set to 1 Hz. Then this should count up 1 each second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Yes, now it's working as we should. So this switch actually had some switch bouncing, some prel, so that was causing the fault in our second attempt. But the first attempt was actually caused by oxidation on the legs of the old circuit, so that we have to take into consideration next time. But this was the 7490 counter, and now we are going to do the 7493. Yeah, and here we have our 193. And what's have to make contact on these when you put them in a breadboard is actually that the contacts is coming in from the sides. So I'm just going to take and make a small rub on each of these legs. On a normal IC header like this is going to get also contact most from the side, but if you have a normal double sweep socket, it actually the front and back faces of these legs that needs most to be cleaned, but here it's the sides, like so. Yeah, it seems to fit quite good. This is a more modern chip. It does have the power and the ground on the right places, luckily for me. And here we don't have so many things to care about, but we was going to put up this switch that I have not connected there now. This should in this be connected here, and we should have the resistor tied to ground, like so. And we should have our connection from this down to count, and that is pin 14, and it's this one. Multimeter beeping, so that was the clear signal. And then we have the A, B and C that we don't use in our setup. We have the count up is 5, and we can actually, just to make an experiment of this, we can connect this to the output of something here. Maybe we take the QA input, then we will feed this with half the frequency, and the input here is the count up, that's pin 5, like so, pin 5. All the other inputs was active high, and we don't use them when we don't use the load, and the load was active low. So this one here should now be counting. And if we borrow heavily from this one, I have just loosened the 5 volt here. It's still counting, but if I borrow these from over here, you will have the QA is this one, and you have the, no, this should be QD is this one, and QC is this one, and that is this pin, and QB, this was turned around like so. This is always on, so this is connected wrong. It's actually the QD. This should be right. But why is it always? If I clear it, now it's always off. I have to mix up these outputs somehow. I start afresh with this. This one is the diode that is furthest away here, and that is the most significant bit, and that should be QD. And QD is pin 7. And we have here, the bit is QC, and this is QB, and this is QA. And why is it acting all wrong? I will feed this with the input straight. It's only counting these 2 bits, and in my eyes that means that we actually are loading something that is not quite clear. Maybe I should tie this load, that is pin 11, to high. Now the least significant bit of these is probably working as it should. No, it's not. It says we don't have the whole counter here. Yeah, this is really starting to annoy me that I can't get one single of these circuits right on the first attempt. I'm going to tie this other input also high for the count. Yeah, what I done now is take the count down and tie it high. So I was not sure that there is any noise on the line, and then it's counting as it should. Another lesson learned, even on a breadboard like this, it's not always so that floating input actually are considered high. And what I was attempting first, I was feeding this from the output here and feeding this to this input here, and I was going to get out. Then we are getting each half the frequency on each count. And we test the clear. Start on 0 each time. Yes, lesson learned. Floating inputs, no go, even on a breadboard. So we have learned one more thing. Yes, as you see, it's not always me, even though it is sort of. The floating inputs, no go. It's I've always known that it was a terrible thing to do, but back in the day, I don't seem to remember that giving us any headaches, and I can tell you the reason why that probably is, because back in the day when I was at school, we normally used the old school TTL chips, but now I'm mostly using the LS versions. And sometimes with the LS version, a high floating input is not high. We saw in the first part with the 7490 that it was undefined level. It was about 1.2 volt, and even though we didn't carry any load of it, it was still just 2.2 volt. And of course that's not a level that we can say for sure is either high or low. Not in a noisy environment at least. And we also have some troubles with the oxidation. So we run into all of these, and I hope you bear with me for the faults I'm making here, but at least this is common faults to make, and I hope I at least have learned something from this experience. Probably not. It's very hard to get old dogs to use to do new tricks, but I might with some more trouble on the breadboard learned some new things. And we also got to use our LED board, and that actually worked quite good, even though the leads between the boards and between the boards has to be longer for this to be very convenient. So hope to see you again tomorrow. Hopefully I will have time to make another episode, and that will be episode 17. So hope to see you then.